Hi everyone, this is In the Middle with Kes and Jamie.
Hi guys.
Hi Jamie. How
Hi
you
guys.
doing?
Fine, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. I'm good. Well, though, I have to tell you, goddamn cicadas. Oh my goodness. This is insane. I really am counting days and minutes till the shit is over because I am legit over it. That sound, that creepy shit that they do, it sounds like a UFO ship is about to land somewhere near my house, and for some unknown reason is not landing, just hovering above. Oh my God. I mean, listen, just take a listen to the sound. Yeah, isn't that just insane?
Yeah, it's
Oh God.
but I think it's
So how much longer do we have to wait?
I don't
till they
know.
go?
I haven't looked up to see.
But
how long
I
it
know
lasts.
that it was like something around 6 weeks for them to
I was
be
thinking about
ill
6
again.
weeks.
But now, a few weeks have definitely passed. So
Well,
I'm
yeah,
thinking,
but they were very slow on coming out. They didn't come out as quickly as they were expecting because it
Because it
wasn't
was
as
a-
warm, because
yeah.
it was kind of cool. And so, listen, they don't destroy anything. The worst you can do is you have some noise and so forth, or you get one in your hair like we did the other day. I actually made Kes stop the car. I wouldn't tell her what was wrong. I made her stop the car and then
Good,
let me
because-
take it off my head and throw it out the window because I knew she would wreck the car. Freaking out. I'm like, okay, we're not going to die in this, though. I decided not to.
So me and you throw them away, but there are people that actually collect them and serve them in restaurants, and people eat them.
Fresh from the trees, fresh from the ground. Catching them was really easy, and we're going to take them and just dump them into the boiling water, and that's it. And they're going, they'll squirm for a couple seconds and die. It's like cooking a lobster, dropping the lobster into boiling water. Same thing with doing the cicadas. I'm snapping the wings off, which are easily done after they've been dehydrated, and then snapping the legs off. Just because they're easier to eat this way, you don't feel something poking you in the throat when you're chewing them up.
I mean, are you that desperate for food? I mean, seriously.
Somebody like we had what is that? Our producer just told us, why don't we say that if we get like, I don't know, 1,000 subscribers within the next week or two, we'll eat one.
Yes. So if you would like to see us eat a
seriously.
cicada cooked here on the in the
But
middle.
you have to rush because obviously the season's going. So this is something that
Yeah.
we need to do quite
And we
now.
won't let you them if they're
everything.
fresh. We're
Oh no, not fresh. No,
Nothing
it's
frozen.
got to be fried. I
Yeah.
mean, it's good, lots of protein. So for anyone on diet, protein diet, this is really good. But
I don't know. My mom taught me not to eat insects. Oh.
but yes, so God, I don't know. But we'll be ready to do it.
All right.
We'll be ready to do it. So see you in 1,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
Click
see,
subscribe.
This is a personal challenge to all of you out there to see if you can make us eat a cicada.
Well, interesting thing in the world of sport. Naomi Osaka is a tennis player. She's ranked 3, I believe, right now. And she had to pull out of the French Open, Roland Garros, because 5 days before the tournament started, she has put on her social media statement that she will be not giving press conferences after her matches, which is a very standard traditional thing for all the players to come out of their match and have a press conference. And she said that she won't be doing it. She openly said that she's been suffering from depression from 2008 after the US final that she actually won against Serena Williams. There was a lot of controversy there.
Attention that she was not
Yeah,
accustomed
she
to.
was getting a lot of attention. I mean, she's a very young star. She's 23 now, I believe in 2018. At this point, she would just turn 20. A lot of attention to her. She's one of those kind of shy, closed people. She has not anticipated this kind of attention. But also, it was a very different attention, not only positive, there was a lot of negativity there too.
Right. Haters that were kind of.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of, I want to say Serena fans were not very kind to her. She's also an Asian black woman, and so that also plays into that. So she's been experiencing a lot of mental health issues, which she openly said about, and she was happy to pay the fines. So for each press conference that you miss, it's 15,000.
Right.
She missed the first one, but then the controversy got so big, so she just pulled out. Now the question here is,
well, they weren't very kind to her, the officials.
no, they were not, and really is this? I believe this is a new reality. How many people really watch the press conference? What is it about? Is it necessary? And the whole mental health issue here is very, very big. Very young people get to, I mean, look, she is, in 2020, she was the most, she was getting the most amount of income in a year, that year, as a female. That's
For any athlete.
for an athlete,
Right.
female athlete
Wow.
in 2020. So that's incredible. The amount of attention she's getting in Japan and in US
Right.
is insane. And I think she's just overwhelmed.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it becomes, none of us who are, you know, just civilians and don't really have this problem, but the fame comes a lot of burden. The press following you around, everybody's critiquing every step you make, everything you do, what you look like, you know, while you're going out walking the dog. I mean, just really prying into your life at all levels. And if you're not ready for that, if you're not prepared for that, it can be really, really damaging. I mean, how many celebrities have we seen that have kind of lost it, or they've gone into
Yeah.
addiction or other kinds of things?
Especially when they go into this young.
Yeah.
You know, I
Yeah,
think
because
that's
they're-
a different.
Yeah.
When you go into it being an adult, I think you have at least
A
that
stable-
life experience to be somewhat prepared. And I don't think even as an adult you're prepared for any of it. I mean, the amount of
No.
bullying that goes on online, people seem to think
Just
that it's
mean
okay.
ass shit.
Yeah.
I mean, just for no
to write
freaking
things.
reason. Yeah.
And so, but for me, it's a big thing, I think, because it's generally something that hasn't been really discussed previously. I mean, the mental health issues, especially with COVID, have been appearing more and more and have been more up
Well-
into discussion. But this is a very open, blatant situation where she uses her platform, like a social media platform, to
Right.
say, I'm not giving out press conferences. People don't respect one another during those press conferences. But she also was one of the athletes that supported the Black Lives Matter movement, and she would wear masks with the name of every person that has died, you know, from the hands and brutality of the police. Now, she does that. She's an activist in that respect, but then yet not following through.
Selective.
I'm trying to figure
Well,
out to
well,
myself how we get around this.
Well, I mean, there's a selective willingness to participate in, or it kind of goes back to some people that we've talked about before in the past that wanted to get out of the public life, and all of a sudden they just keep putting themselves into the public sphere all the time. And so, you know, you kind of counterbalance that. I mean, obviously, my first thought that came to my mind was, you know, spoiled brat, why aren't you participating? Because they're trying to keep it fair, and everybody has to do this, and it's a requirement. But, you know, you look at it and you go, you know, this is, you know, she is a young girl. She is willing to pay the fines. It's not like she's saying, oh, I don't want to pay the fines or anything. She's willing to pay the price. She's willing to pay the price by even leaving the tournament. But there's a lot of people out there that question that the validity of her or other athletes not participating or not being, you know, play ball, if you will, with the way that they deal with the press, or the way that the organization functions. It wasn't like she didn't know that this press conference was coming up before she got
she's
there.
been in the business, you know, even young. She's already had a lot of experience. She won 4, you know, Grand Slams and participated in one another big tournaments. But so she knows what she's getting herself into. Now the question here is, now is the old tradition, and again the sport is being run by white men, you know, predominantly white men, and
Is that true?
Yes, as an organizational,
Well,
you know,
maybe
the hierarchy
historically.
status, but not that many people of color really run the tournaments and organize them and the WTA and so on and so forth. But the issue here is maybe it's time for change. Maybe there's a need to change the way it's structured. Can you not have a press conference, I don't know, in a very different way?
Yeah.
Can't you use all the platforms, social media platforms, to then organize
modernize
and just do it that way and give them a little time. Knowing how my son plays, he comes out, obviously the pressure is nowhere near to what they experience, but it is similar in the sense that you come out of a tournament and you don't want to talk for an hour or two, especially if you lost. This is you need to really, because
the last thing, I think, certainly.
You really want to sort of just get with your thoughts and understand what went through, what happened. And for some Tom, Dick, and Harry to sit there and ask you some questions, and it's like, fair enough.
Dumbass question you got.
Right, it's okay. So what happened to your serve on second set? That, that's
all.
in
Where's yours?
business relation.
Yeah.
But some people use that by asking questions that are not tennis relative. A lot of the tennis players, and Venus especially, I think Serena also said, a lot of the times people on the press conference don't even ask, they don't know tennis that well. So the questions are stupid, But, and like Venus said, look, I come out and deal with it this way. Every single person in here does not play as good a tennis as I do. Never will. So you know what? Nothing that you can tell me would really put me down.
Yeah.
But that's a mentality she had worked with and had to, and she's, I think, maybe a slightly different person and has a different personality. I feel.
And she's also been she also has been in there
in that business
much
for much longer.
Yeah, and,
absolutely.
and she's a wife and a mother now. And I mean, she's a very.
That was Venus, but Serena,
sorry,
yes, she is a wife and a mother. Yeah.
But they're all. They've all gone through, and it doesn't have anything to do with race or anything else or gender. It's a pressure that's put on all these. Let's say kids. Let's say the kids that are that's kind of unnecessary. I do agree that there's no reason why the French couldn't have adjusted their process and made it fair for everybody, because it's time to kind of modernize. Reporters are different.
Yeah.
How their journalists are reporting.
I also think that it was a little bit too close to the time of the actual event.
Right.
Maybe if there was a little bit more time given by Osaka's team speaking to the to the organizers of the tournament a little bit ahead of time to maybe see it, and maybe that could have been avoided, because it's sad. It's a loss for tennis. It's lost for people that wanted to watch her. She's a great athlete, and it's just a shame that it had to happen that way.
But let's look at the bright side. I mean, yes, it's a loss for this particular tournament, but maybe it's changed some things. Maybe it's going to bring about some change. Number one, it's bringing some awareness of mental health issues. That's a great thing. Number two, bring some change that needs to happen within the tennis associations and the hierarchy of it all.
What another positive thing is, and we can sort of end it with this because I think it's really nice. There's an app called Calm app, and they have offered to pay. I believe it's just amongst the tennis players at the moment to pay for them missing their press conferences after their matches.
Yes.
Great.
That's great, and I appreciate it. But let's face it. I mean, that's a marketing thing for them too. I mean, it's a great thing.
Look,
hey, listen, they're paying out the money. You pay the money, you get the publicity. I mean, good for them for bringing that to everybody's attention. I think it's smart for them to do.
So, guys, I also I personally want to hear from all of you. Jamie, not so much. But why don't you, if you...
I don't care.
But please write to us. Let us know if this is of interest to you.
Or what your opinion about this is.
Absolutely. So, write your comments and like and subscribe.
So, very interesting thing that's happened in China. They just recently announced that they're going to allow, this is kind of weird, but anyway, they're going to allow their people that live in their country to have 3 children, families to have 3 children instead of 2, which is what they were limited to recently. But also,
I think there was a point in time. I think there was even
2 decades ago.
It
was
like
one child nation.
And it was 2, and now it's 3.
And they didn't have particular value on girls, and you hear horror stories about what they did with girl babies and everything. But
you know what? Actually, can I just quickly make a comment? So in Russia, when when you come out of the No, no. When you were being picked up from the hospital, there's a tradition. The nurse brings out the child to the father, and the father has to give a little money to the nurse to sort of thank her for it. And it's so bizarre because the girls, the girls are not valued legit. Like the father can give a little less. Well, not can, but
Does traditionally
does give a little less for the girls than for the boys.
Yeah, I mean.
So
But even in the U.S.
We are part of Asia to a certain degree, so no surprise
But
there.
even in the U.S., I mean, this is a little side note, but even in the U.S., whenever you hear somebody say, oh, they're expecting someone, and then they announce, oh, it's a boy, even in the U.S., oh, congratulations. I mean, they're across the board. Now I know you have a son, our producer has a son, we have a grandson. I mean, we're allowed to be boys. I grew up in a family of all boys, and I never had been around the girl thing, but it was well,
now you have to deal with girls.
which explains so much about me. But anyway, well, that's another show. But
Okay, back to China and the policy of 3 kids.
So the Chinese are allowing 3 children per family now, and this is a huge move because obviously China is not lacking
low on population, generally
about 1.4 billion people. But they are obviously seeing the forecasts and so forth that there's going to be a shortage of folks of not being able to pay for the older ones because people are living longer, and that's one of the problems that we're having in the U.S. because in the U.S. we've had a population decrease and our birth rate has gone down considerably because people are waiting longer and they're
and the way I think that this is a bit of a problem for the U.S. in a sense that the way the country is structured, the way that things are working here is the younger have to pay for the older.
Right.
So the system works the way so that now it's a little of a worry for the Americans because obviously not that many young people, or they're not, coming at such a fast rate and in the bigger numbers that they used to.
Right.
So this is something to be somewhat worried about.
But that's about to change.
Oh yeah, I think there is a positive side to this.
Yes.
Obviously
COVID.
to COVID, not to this.
We are
there
going
is a positive
So guess
way.
what everybody was doing while they were in COVID? Isolation.
Well,
Anyway,
yeah, when people were, had to do.
Gotta do something. Gotta do something.
Yeah, when they were
So-
working from home and, or not working at all, and gyms were closed and weather wasn't really good, there was a lot of sexy things going on.
And there'll also be a lot of divorces too. But that's all.
Yes, that is actually quite funny because
Yeah.
I have quite a few friends that have gone through or just about to start getting divorced
Yeah.
because apparently being with each other 24/7
It's like you realize-
is not something they were signing up
I
for.
really don't like you. It's like
Apparently,
I'm just like
I don't. When you spend some time at work and a few hours at home, this is great.
Yeah.
Holiday's fantastic. But having you around all the time
It was
is
a big
annoying.
adjustment for me. When all of a sudden, and David was there all the time, like,
How do you
go
deal with that?
out of the office. I'm like, yeah, go
Yeah.
to the house, go to the office. So anyway, but it was
So yeah, COVID baby boom.
baby
Lots
boom.
of babies
So-
coming out soon, guys. So
But COVID boom,
watch
I
out
guess
for
is
it.
that because I was a baby boomer. I was born the last year of the baby boom. David was born the first year of the baby boom. Anyway, booms.
I think there's a cute story that happened when a young man was graduating in high school. There was a high school graduation, and apparently comes in, wearing the gown and everything, but had white shoes on. And they
How
told him-
dare he?
I know, this is so bizarre. This is a great.
It wasn't even Memorial Day yet.
But it's just so strange. So he's wearing like trainers, I don't know, or like whatever, and they wouldn't let him go through. They just would not allow him to get graduated because he didn't have the proper shoes on. Thankfully, I know, this is the face I had exactly when I read this story. And I was like, this is unbelievable. First of all, you don't really see the shoes part. I don't believe.
And even
Well,
if you do, are you
do-
paying attention to it?
Exactly, I
oh
mean,
my God,
seriously.
You see his shoes. I mean, like,
And
no, you
so
don't.
thankfully, to make his thing, his graduation happen, his teacher stepped in and gave him his shoes.
I think it's sad that, you're sitting here, okay, let's put it this way. What if this child and their family could not afford some nicer shoes? There's so many scenarios here. It's just ridiculous. And now you're not going to let the child walk through
And
graduation
did
line.
graduate? Yeah, yes.
And
imagine
over
if
something
he's
like
like,
his shoes.
he's done everything, he's got all A's, and then I'm sorry, dude, you can't really graduate because your shoes are white and they're supposed to be black or brown and leather. I mean, ridiculous.
Cancel. You're
Cancel
canceled.
graduation.
So it's ridiculous. But anyway, congratulations to that young man for graduating from high school and the rest of his classmates. And also, thank you for the teacher for being that kind of teacher.
Thank you.
Hey guys, we want to try a new segment here. We're talking about a political issue every week. Many of you may know or not know that I was in the Clinton administration at the NTSB. I did 7 years with Clinton Gore and 1 year with Bush too, back in the day. And so most of my background was working in politics. I was executive director of the Tennessee Democratic Party back in the early 90s. And so, politics is really my background. So, but I wanted to talk to you about an issue that this week that's really kind of out there and a lot of people having questions about and a lot of concern, and that's voter suppression bills. As we all know, there's been a lot of volume that's turned up in the last decade on the claims of voter fraud. This has really escalated since the 2020 election. And a lot of this is being perpetuated by people's true perception that there has been voter fraud or there's been fraud or misrepresentation or illegal voting done during an election. And because of that, 47 states around the country have put in legislation or introduced legislation that would be a way of dealing with or adjusting their electoral process or elections process. This can range from voter registration cards, ID cards, the voter registration time frames, or the amount of time or ways that you are able to absentee vote. Now, many of these things that they're changing are actually going back to pre-pandemic rules that had already existed. That's fine, but many of these are actually just mean-spirited. They're not really productive. They're not helpful. They're actually, for example, one state, you can't give water to those people who are standing in line at the polls. I mean, and this is in a southern state, and we all know how hot it gets in the South, and just to be petty and childish about these kinds of things. But what concerns me the most about this is, even though we have a feeling that there's a voter fraud going on, the evidence doesn't show that. In April of 2020, MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, introduced a study that they did of voter registration fraud, and they found that 0.00006% time is all that happened. It's very, very extremely rare, and this perception versus the reality is what we're dealing with. And so I think going into changing the way that we process and with the way that we vote, the way that we vote is really dangerous, because what we are seeing is we're taking away the accessibility to voting to everyone.
Well, it's been lovely being here with you guys. We'll see you next week. Don't forget to tune in, subscribe, and you know what? At the end of the day, we're all in the middle of it together. See ya.